I thought if we ever broke up, I would feel this tremendous sense of relief. I could go back to being myself. But something happened. I fell in love with you or something. And I stopped being a loner.
Dylan, I think that's wonderful.
I think it's terrible.
You can look the other way once, and it's no big deal. Except it makes it easier for you to compromise the next time. And pretty soon, that's all you're doing is compromising because that's how you think things are done.
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on the Al Travis Show.
We love having her on. Megan's news in review. Thank goodness we got through the slow time before this, the session could open and we'd have something to talk about. Wow, what a first week, huh?
I know, crazy first week, and we're still talking about fraud. Fraud has not gone away.
Oh.
It's still maybe it's our word of 2025 and 2026 now.
I am off the charts today on my baffledness with fraud. We had, we're one Democratic vote away from getting an OIG bill passed last session, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you heard.
The Senate did not pass in the House.
And you do a lot of news watching. Did you happen to notice that fraud in Minnesota was the front news story across the nation for the last 9 months?
Yeah.
That wasn't enough to push one Democrat to say, you know what, might not be a perfect bill, but we should pass this bad boy. Mm-hmm. Not one. How is that even possible?
Well,
Megan?
and not even still. So they agree, Republicans and Democrats agree, we should do something. But when it comes down to the details of what actually should be done, they could not be further apart. You have Democrats who want to get rid of, law enforcement and kind of the independent nature of what this soon-to-be new office is. Republicans want to keep it in there because they want this agency to have complete authority and autonomy over looking at all this stuff, so they're removed from other agencies so there's not cross fraud. Yeah, lots of drama. I think they might get something done, but all disagreeing in all those nitty-gritty details.
Let's say we're disagreeing, but let's just look at some independent people, if we may. The guy, the program integrity director, what's his name, O'Malley, something like that, right? We pulled him out, FBI guy. Oh, he's Superman without the cape. He is brought in by the governor. Take a look around. Tell us what we need. He released a 57-page report yesterday, and I like his style. Here it is. Take it or leave. If you want to talk to me, I'll come have lunch or something with you, talk it over, but I'm done.
The funny thing about him, too, is he only agreed to do this job if he could have authority over the investigation. He said, I have no allegiances to no political party, nothing, no person. I'm just going to blow this all up, basically, is what he went into this thinking.
Okay, great. Probably what this state needs, right? So this was picked by your governor. And we're talking the Office of Independent Inspector General, right? That's what they couldn't get passed. This guy does his report and came up with two pretty big things. One is the state is failing to hold people accountable. Is that a shocker to you? You don't have to pay me a lot of money. I could have come up with that because, the one guy who approved a $672,000 bill, then 2 days later went and, worked for that company. No problem. But anyway, his other thing, and this is what's interesting, he did suggest, and he thinks this state needs an independent statewide monitor of our stuff. Does that sound like an OIG to you? A statewide independent monitor of our... Did he just, because you couldn't put OIG in there, he'd get slapped up by the governor. He just asked for an OIG.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to follow the man's advice that we paid to give us the advice?
Well, and we'll see too. I mean, he said it's critically important that we have someone with the skill and the backbone to force change and accountability moving forward. What he means by that, I don't know. Does he mean governor? Does he mean DHS commissioner? Because we have the interim DHS commissioner. She was just named the permanent one now. Do we think that she has the skill and the backbone? I mean, I've seen her testify. She seems to be owning up to a lot of the failures of the department, even though it didn't happen under her. But
no. I argue with you now, Megan. This woman has been like the assistant head since 2017. She knows everything. She's been there forever. So when they get rid of the Department of Human Services head, the commissioner, she slides up for the last year. She's been there for a year now, 2025 February. For the last year now, she's temporary. She sat in that hearing, and I only know this, I wouldn't even known who she was if I didn't watch this hearing. She sat in the hearing where the Office of Auditor gal comes on and said, Department of Human Services, many people, not one, not two, many people were backdating paperwork and falsifying documents to cover things up. And that woman looked right at her and said, yeah, that's news to me. Nothing happened. Megan, I'm doing my taxes. I am scared to death I don't have every receipt of everything that I have to turn in because I am concerned that I would be a bad guy. This woman who's been in charge, been there since 2017, said, oh, that's interesting. And no one got fired.
Well,
you now make her the president or nothing's changing.
Walz appointed her as permanent commissioner before this report came out. And even they asked Walz for his response on this report. He said, I haven't read it yet, but I'm grateful for his work, whatever. I wonder if Governor Walz will read this report and be like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have made that decision. I
don't think he's ever thought that way in his life. This is crazy. This is you asking for the exact same thing. You know people underneath you are falsifying paperwork. Okay. One of the committee reports said that they weren't allowed to go check autism centers to see if they had kids because we had nothing in the bill saying you had to be licensed.
He specifically said that employees at DHS up and down the chain, no matter where you are on the totem pole, constantly or consistently chose compassion over compliance, which he said, if you want to, help these people and be a public service, go work for a provider. But this agency is not in the game of compassion. We are in the game of compliance. It is federal taxpayer dollars. We have to be good stewards of it. We have to follow the money trail, make sure it's going to who needs it. And if you want to lean on the compassionate side of things, go work for a provider who's kind of on the front lines providing these services. So. All
right. I don't know. Okay. I've said it already once. I'll say it again. I'm going to give us so much trouble about this. I don't know that anymore that I don't believe, because I don't see anything changing in the legislature. Like say, we can't get this OIG bill passed. We can't do anything because we are waiting for this election. November, right? We can't do anything too strong because our base will be mad. So we're not going to get anything done. We see that in a report today, 6 out of 10 Minnesotans are saying we're going in the wrong direction. If they don't vote that way, I'm going to tell Orange Man bad in the state. That's why we'll vote for the same stuff to keep happening. I think Orange Man has every right to cut all federal funding to the state. If we're not going to listen to the...
I think that's part of the concern of some Democrats is they're saying if we have this Office of Inspector General and we give it too much authority, is the federal government going to not send us money because there's, too much bureaucracy, essentially? I've seen that kind of line come out.
I don't think Trump has any problem with bureaucracy. He wants this stuff to stop. The idea that you could... 6 of 500 autism centers that were getting paid for us the last 4 years, $200 million last year, right? 6 of 500 actually applied for the license when you said you needed a license. 494. We're out. Are you kidding me? That's how loose it was. I got to go to break. We have other things to talk about.
We can talk about non-fraud legislative updates. There's a lot happening at the Capitol with session this year, so we can talk about that.
You bring it. How about the cell phone ban? Can we talk about that? Because that's just crazy. Okay, we'll talk about that much more. I've got her. It's Megan's News and Review on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck because that's exactly who we are. Your friends at the Capitol. And we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Chanhassen Dinner Theatres proudly presents Guys and Dolls, packed with comedy, romance, dazzling dance numbers, and unforgettable characters. This Tony Award-winning Best Musical takes you from the gritty streets of New York to the colorful cafes of Havana. It's a high-rolling musical spectacular everyone will love. Don't wait. Visit chanhassendt.com and grab your tickets today. Guys and Dolls. Chanhassen Dinner Theatres, always entertaining you.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
Always grateful to have her. She's Megan with Megan's News and Review. So this is going to be partisan right down the line all year long. Nothing of any major stuff is going to happen, in my own opinion. You brought up, we're going to talk about bills. The cell phone ban for schools is interesting in that, as I read it, it's got bipartisan support. And you know what? It kind of makes some sense to me. This wouldn't bother me at all. We try to get kids to stay focused in school. Your thoughts on the cell phone ban?
Well, they directed a couple of years ago, the legislature directed schools to implement their own policy surrounding cell phones. I know many schools have. Why the legislature feels like now they have to step in and make this a mandate. And to be clear, this is a cell phone ban for K through 8. It would not apply to high schools, which obviously is, different, more adult-like kids have phones and they text each other, whatever. Okay, K through 8, a little bit different. Distractions are much more difficult in those grades. So I don't know why the legislature feels like they have to step in and make this a mandate, and why districts can't just adopt stricter policies if they're dealing with distraction problems and adhere to them at the same time.
But this is the way, okay, I can sit here as an old man. I'm fine. Until 8th grade, I don't even get my kids had cell phones before 8th grade. They survived. This will be something. But at the same time, did you catch the deal where they wanted to ban kids' ability to get to pornographic websites in Minnesota? Right? Mm-hmm. All right. I'm an old man. I completely 100% agree. There's no reason kids should be able to go on a porn site. Okay, let's stop it. We had people in the state of Minnesota. Representative Finke. We need that LGBT community that needs it as a sex ed place. I'm like, that's exactly what we're trying to stop. We don't want pornography makers being the ones telling you what's right and wrong. That's why we're doing that. Get to be 18, do what you want. We can't even pass that, Megan.
Well, and it's coming out of a conversation of a senator, I believe it's Senator Alice Mann, who went on a tour around the state to see what schools are doing. And some schools have those over-the-door shoe organizers where kids will put their phones in there.
Yes.
Or when I was in school, I had a phone in 7th or 8th grade. It had to go in the locker and it had to stay in the locker. If a teacher saw that phone on you in class, It would be taken and you would not get it back until the end of the day. So I don't know if these schools that are experiencing problems, I agree. I don't think cell phones should be allowed in school, but I do think it should be up to the individual school districts to create their own policies. And
I don't want to one up you, but of course we didn't even have cell phones when I was your age. We couldn't chew gum.
With Heelys, they banned Heelys when I was in middle school too. You couldn't have those wheelie shoes.
That Heely thing cost me a lot of money. My 3 boys all had to have Heelys, and we were going on someplace, Chicago, and they wanted them for the boardwalk. We buy these things, like the next week they're banned across the country because I don't have any idea why. Yeah, that cost me a little money. See, we think we can interfere and put our noses in the business, but when it comes to stuff that makes some sense, for some reason we pull back. Cell phones, if you're Mrs. Johnson and you're in the 2nd grade and you just don't like them and you ban them in class, I'm behind you 100%. Even if the school says everywhere else you can, I don't care. Mrs. Johnson's in charge. But we can't decide what pornography is and what age group is right to get it. We're crazy, Megan.
Well, and it sounds like, too, there's some other proposals that do have bipartisan support here in the legislature as well, relating to safety, kind of stricter offenses when it comes to impersonating a police officer. And this comes out of the assassination of Melissa Hortman, attempted assassination of Senator Hoffman. They're also talking about some bills and proposals to hide legislators' home addresses and their phone numbers. All of that typically is public. It's on the Minnesota legislature website. Some have that redacted for, personal safety reasons. Now they're just saying we shouldn't even have this be public at all. But when it comes down to actual gun control proposals, that is where things get a little bit different. There's no bipartisanship in that.
Yeah. Well, the hiding the addresses thing is interesting to me because didn't we have a guy run for office that didn't live in his own legislative, like,
just recently, we kind of got last year. That was one of 9 special elections.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe we got to know where the guy lives. I mean, just to keep that down. And as far as finding anybody, you'd have to be pretty bad at the cell phone to not be able to find where your legislator lived, even if it's not written on the website.
Google anyone's name, I feel like you can find out where they live, elected official or not.
Well, yeah, and then this guy's got 600 lawn signs every 2 years on his front lawn for himself. You know where they live. I don't know that changes a whole lot. That being said, and that's 2 sides of the mouth, because I made some fun of the kid. That kid and I shouldn't, the kid who got shot jumping over Mar-a-Lago's fence, right, the other day before yesterday, whatever it was, the president wasn't there. Use your cell phone. Look the president's agenda up. He's not even in Florida. Maybe the brightest of us don't do these things, and that's why, I don't know. It seems so strange to me.
Yes.
But the gun bills, the interesting, they got to go through detectors now of the first day. Love this.
It was not good. Everything was stalled and slow, and people were upset.
But the story was, we found 14 guns and 2 knives. Okay, that sounds dramatic. 14 guns in the Capitol. You're allowed to carry in the Capitol. If you have a carry permit, I presume all 14 were probably legislators.
Legal carry.
So the beeps, they say, I got my gun, I got my permit. Okay, head on in. And you go in and you do your thing. The idea that 14 was shocking. The 2 knives was interesting. Unless you're like,
a pocket knife someone forgot
my dad always carried a pocket knife. It's like you were risking it going to the airport with him. It's like, Dad, you got your lucky box. Yeah. Always
that did happen to my husband. He did forget about a large hunting knife in his backpack going to the airport. So he was one of those people that looked
oh my God,
really not good by the TSA agents. Looked like he was going to the airport to commit some crimes, but he just was forgetful. And had to. That
isn't forgetful. I just happen to put that. That's crazy. Okay, I don't know who you're married to, but that's crazy. All right, I got to go. I'm out of time. I love having you on. This is going to be a crazy session. The stuff we're finding out in these committees is off the chart. The things we're trying to get past, because it's going to be little stuff. I don't believe any big stuff's going to get past. It'll be little crazy stuff like cell phone bans. If Mrs. Johnson wants it, ban it. I don't care. Megan, I love having you on the show. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Well, today's a big day for the gun control legislation that we were talking about, so I'm sure we'll catch everyone up next week talking about that and more. All the top Minnesota news stories of the week on the Al Travis Show with Megan's News and Review.
At LGH Wealth Management, our mission is to create financial empowerment